Bitcoin is up. Why?
We've seen a massive demand from all over the place. So we have institutional investors, retail investors, and people from all over the world driving to get some Bitcoins because they understand this is a very scarce currency. And more broadly, I think blockchain technology, which is the underlying technology of Bitcoin, is at an inflection point with a massive demand about to come.
Right, but what changed between, say, 2 years ago when Bitcoin basically crashed? The fundamentals haven't changed for Bitcoin. So either the psychology, the market participants, what changed?
I think there's a general macro situation that triggered a lot of demand for Bitcoin, with a lot of inflation coming into the economy right now, and people losing money in all the sectors of the economy. I think they're looking for a safe haven for a new type of currency that is based on purely technology, on algorithms and mathematics, and that is outside of this inflationary economy that we currently have.
Right. But the one thing we learned when Bitcoin fell, and indeed all cyber currencies fell, cryptocurrencies fell, is that they are not safe havens. They may be a mythical view that, they are outside the regulatory regime, but safe haven isn't the word I would use.
The idea here is to understand that this is basically a growth cycle, and every growth cycle comes with ups and downs, but overall you're always higher than you've been in the last cycle. So there's a lot of demand because you have limited supply, and then a growing demand, and at some point the market, as the market usually works, is super irrational, meaning that it just goes to a point where you have a manic depressive going up and down. But overall, as you say, the fundamentals have constantly improved, and this is why we are seeing a super high demand right now.
Lots of third parties have now said they will accept Bitcoin, haven't they? Lots of banks and investment banks say that they will put Bitcoin as part of their recommended portfolios. But what are people actually using Bitcoin for in the real world?
There's a lot of discussion right now about the crypto part, which is a cryptocurrency based on this blockchain technology. What essentially is important to understand is that blockchain technology enables transfer of value between any person and any other person in the world directly, just as the internet did for communication. So the use case of blockchain technology is that we'll see the entire economy during the next 3 to 5 years transition to blockchain technology, and then cryptocurrencies will see different growth dynamics based on investors and use cases they serve.
And if we look at your own currency, Elrond, I mean, are you riding that wave as well?
So the idea for us is that with Elrond, we're trying to create a high bandwidth financial system and then enable this financial system to be universally accessible to anyone, anywhere. And the two important points to understand about this is that we are currently basing the entire economy on 40 years deprecated technology. This is old, it's super slow and inefficient. So we believe that we can come up with a technology that enables instant global transfer of value at a negligible cost.
So tell me, who's going to use it? Tell me, how do I go abroad a lot. I've got, I mean, how do I use it? Why would I use Elrond? Maybe I wouldn't.
No, you would surely use it. And the demand is especially coming firstly from third world countries or countries where the economy is super unstable, either due to inflation or due to problems of not being able to manage the things with the way the money in the local country is devalued.
Understood. But are we talking about using it right the way down to the micro level of the consumer? Or are we talking about it at the wholesale level of investors or companies using it in the supply chain? Where's its practical use?
I think you've basically summarized things perfectly. These are the three use cases that we're targeting. Firstly, of course, most people come into the crypto space because of investment purposes. This is what what attracts them. But they understand that this technology will grow as the internet grew. What we are focusing on as a use case is specifically enabling transfer of value, any kind of money transfer, for the next billion people. There are more than 1.7 billion people that don't have access to infrastructure, financial infrastructure especially. And with a simple application that we're going to launch in January, will enable any kind of transfer to these people.
Where's your liquidity? Because Bitcoin had liquidity issues. They seem to be slightly, I mean, this idea of, well, your Bitcoin's risen so much. Yeah, well, good luck trying to sell it. And good luck with an exchange which has reliability in terms of do you suffer that same difficulty? If I'm holding your currency, can I trade it and sell it?
I'm surprised to hear about this liquidity problem, because this has actually not been any problem during the last 5 years. It was a problem for Bitcoin during the 1 or 2 years at the beginning, but at this point we have really important exchanges that have billions of dollars traded every 24 hours. And in fact, Elrond is traded on some of the largest exchanges in the world with hundreds of millions volume for every 24 hours. So this part of going in and out is basically absolutely a no issue. And we're focusing more on providing best experience possible when people interact with money.
So do you have the same system for the creation of Elrond? Mining?
No, actually, Elrond is based on proof of stake, which is a new kind of consensus mechanism. I would even go and say that Elrond is based on two fundamental breakthroughs, one of which is this idea that you can parallelize transaction processing in a way that you can process 1,000 times more transactions than in Bitcoin at this point. So Bitcoin can process as a network something like 5 to 7 transactions per second, and Elrond can do upwards of 15,000. And then the second point, which you mentioned, is the consensus algorithm and the way that the currency is issued. And the consensus algorithm is called secure proof of stake, which is an idea that you can validate the transaction by putting some skin in the game in the network, and then becoming a node that provides work to the network.
It all sounds very complicated.
Yeah, this actually sounds complicated, but most people do not care about this part. They will care about the new experience that we'll offer through this application called Mayar. And this application is essentially the one application through which we'll bring the next billion people in the space. Imagine that we have something like 100 million people currently in this entire space. And with 1 billion people, this crypto space might actually become the default economy in the world, where you start playing by different rules. So we're quite excited about how this could actually improve lives of people in many countries around the world.
Thank you very much.